Welcome to the $100 MBA Show. If this podcast was a vintage car, it would be the original VW Bug. Small, reliable, and can't be ignored with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zinholm. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And today is a must-read episode. In our must-read episodes, I share with you a book that has greatly influenced me as an entrepreneur. I tell you a bit about the book. I give you some of my favorite parts about it, and I also tell you why you should read it. Today's must-read is Good to Great by Jim Collins. This book went on to be a bestseller in its genre, and it's widely regarded as a modern classic of management theory. Jim Collins, in this book, takes on the daunting challenge of differentiating yourself from being good to great. And it's this battle of fighting mediocrity. I can't wait to get into this book and share with you how it's affected me and our business. So let's get down to business. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful looking website, blog, or online store for you and your business. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and an incredible 24/7 customer support. Try Squarespace at squarespace.com and enter offer code MBA at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace, the easiest way to create a beautiful website for your business. In Good to Great, author Jim Collins and his research team do a great job at finding out what are the defining characteristics of a great company and a good company. You might be thinking, I'm just a solopreneur or I'm just a startup with a partner. I'm not a huge company like Disney or Apple or something like that. But all these great companies like Disney and Apple, they all started out as a small team, as one person, two people, three people. And those characteristics that he defines as a great company, as a great organization, they existed when they were small. And therefore, when they got big, that culture permeated throughout the whole organization. Good to Great is one of those books that's great to read because they give you a new mindset, a new perspective on the way to build a great organization, a great team. And an organization could just be you and another partner, maybe somebody that you're outsourcing work to, but you have to have that culture in place. He starts off the book with chapter 1 that's called Good is the Enemy of Great. And in this first chapter, he actually lays down the framework of his research. He tells you what the criteria is in order to be considered good or great. In the next chapter, Level 5, Leadership, he obviously goes into leadership. And in this chapter, Collins begins the process of identifying the unique factors and variables that differentiate good companies from great companies. And one of the most significant differences is the quality and the nature of leadership in the company or in the organization. And he says the leadership has a lot to do with the direction of the company. Obviously, that makes sense. The leadership leads the company. But it's a good place to start. So if you're a solopreneur, if you're somebody just starting out a small business, your leadership skills need to be really refined because that's going to dictate if your business is going to be a great business or a good business. What I love about this book is that he breaks down this concept of what makes a great organization into very simple ideas. And therefore, you can implement them very easily in your small business right now. So he doesn't make it sound like it's so overwhelming. Like these great companies have this secret formula, that's why they're so great and they're tearing up the market. No, it has a lot to do with the fundamentals of that business. And I think this is a great book for you to read because you can put those foundational pieces into your business right now while you're still young. One of my favorite chapters in the book is chapter 6, which is called A Culture of Discipline. In this chapter, Collins says that another defining characteristic of a great company is the overarching culture of discipline. He quickly points out that the culture of discipline is not to be confused with a strict authoritarian environment. Instead, Collins is referring to an organization in which each manager or staff member is driven by an unrelenting inner sense of determination. In this type of organization, each individual functions as an entrepreneur in himself or herself, with a deeply rooted personal investment in both their work and their company's success. That's why some of these really successful companies like Google and FedEx, they allow their employees to have something called 20% time, which means 20% of their time at work, they can work on projects that they create themselves that better the company. So they have their own autonomy. So they have their own freedom to build and create the way they want to create. But in the same regard, they're helping the business goals. Everybody in the company has a sense of ownership and a sense of drive and discipline to make the company better, to make the organization better. And I think that's something that's really, really important to cultivate in your team. And that can start with just hiring your first virtual assistant or your first staff member or even an intern. Creating that culture of determination and discipline is so important. That chapter alone is worth the book. Collins wraps up the whole book in chapter 9 with a chapter that's called Good to Great to Built to Last. And he talks about how companies need to exist for a higher purpose and not just merely for profit or gain. They need to have a higher calling. They need to have a reason why they're doing this. Are they helping the world in some way? Are they helping people's lives in some way? That's when these companies really thrive and are built to last. He also mentions it's very important to have